Hey, what's up, everybody? Ralph here. So today I want to talk about how I was able to raise my credit score in just 60 days. So if you're someone that's struggling with bad credit, maybe my situation might help you, in terms of like helping you improve your credit score. So for most of you, if you watched any of my previous videos, back in 2016, I had over $30,000 of credit card debt, and that debt came with three credit cards. All right. One was like 14,000. Another was like 8,000. Another one's like 10. So back in 2016, I made the decision to stop paying my credit cards. All right. And before I stopped making those payments, I never missed a credit card payment. I was probably paying like $200-300, in payments, principal and interest. So September 2016, I made the conscious decision to just stop paying my credit card. That's because I was working on a business, and I said to myself, you know what, these credit card companies aren't gonna get their money until I start making my money. And that's when I cut my expenses down and everything. But yeah, so I stopped paying back in 2016. So after that, once it hits like 180 days of not payment, they charge off your account. So they consider an asset that's just going to be uncollectible. So once they do that, and obviously you start missing payments and they send it to collections, that takes a big hit on your credit. So at the time before I stopped paying on the credit cards, my credit score was about like 800. It's like 815 at the time. And at the time, so when they sent me the collections, it dropped down to probably like a 580. So it was a big drop. And these are the biggest things. Like when you're missing, like the biggest impacts to your credit score is missing payments, almost, maxing out your credit cards, which I did. And these are like the biggest hits. When you miss payments, when you max out your credit cards, they tend to, take a huge impact on your credit score. So, I mean, once I stopped paying and they sent it to collections and they charge it off, it obviously is going to drop my score big time. So it went down to like a 580 at the time. And over time, once I started working on my business, my score started to improve, amazingly. You would probably wonder, like, how's it improving? Because I wasn't adding any new credit. Even though I wasn't making payments on it, I wasn't adding any new credit. I wasn't adding any new credit. I wasn't missing payments on anything else. I had like a school loan. But gradually over time, as the older your debt becomes, the less of an impact it has on your credit score. So naturally, your credit score tends to go up as time goes on. Of course, it's not going to be great. And obviously, if you want to get a loan, lender's going to look at that and say, yeah, you still owe credit cards, and we're not going to lend you any money. So, and it was fine because, I mean, obviously I wasn't going to borrow any money. I was busy working on my business. So that was 2016. That's time when I was as I was working on my business. In 2018, business started, doing well. I started making money. So I was like, all right, let me tackle this debt. All right. So the first thing I did was, I sent so once they send you to collections, the first thing when you make the decision to clear off debt, the first thing you want to do is you want to send a validation letter to these companies, because you want to make sure that the debt is yours, like it belongs to you. Because once the original creditors send it to a collections, you need to make sure that these collection companies have authority to actually collect money from you. Obviously, if it's the original creditor, you don't really need to send a validation letter. You could, but most likely the debt is yours unless there's some inaccuracies within your account. But the original creditors tend to send it off to collections, and the first thing you want to do is send them a validation letter. You just want to make sure you verify that the debt belongs to you, belongs to them. So, and that it's yours, that you owe the money. So once I did that, and I usually and they have like 30 days to respond once you send a letter, and they should send it within the 30 days. And so once they sent it back, and I was like, all right, that's the first step. I make sure I verify the debt. Then the next step was to give them a call. I know a lot of people don't want to do this because it's kind of intimidating getting in contact with collections. But the thing you need to understand is that as a consumer, you have rights. All right, there's just certain things that these collection companies can't do to you, and that's, I think, according to the FDCPA, which is the Fair Debt Collections Practices Act. So as a consumer, you have a lot of rights. All right, they can't threaten to sue you. They can't yell at you. They can't do anything that makes you that can hurt you as a consumer. So you need to understand that. So I know as intimidating as it sounds, calling these companies and making sure, like, all right, let's settle this debt, can be sometimes the best way to go about it. So what I did is I called the first company the one that was 14,000. So I wanted to say, all right, I want to negotiate. I have a certain amount of money. I'm willing to negotiate for this amount of price. Now they'll go back and forth. That's obviously where the negotiation process comes from. And sometimes they can be a little bit intimidating. And I remember the first time I called the collection, they try to give me a hard time. Obviously they didn't, yell at me or berate me or anything, but they try to give me a hard time. They try to get all the money. So what I did was I was like, all right, look, this is what I have. What do you want to do? So he was like, well, if you can't send the money now, or if you don't send this money at this time, then tomorrow it's going to go up. So I'm like, why is it going to go up? I mean, what's the difference between today and tomorrow? So what I did was like, all right, this is clearly not going anywhere. I'll call back tomorrow. So I hung up. Boom. Next day I called, and then I was able to make a settlement. So instead of the 14,000, I think I was able to pay like 7,000. I was able to get like 50% off. I think it was a little bit less. I probably paid it was 7,500. So I paid 7,500. So I was like, all right. So let's resell them out. So can you send me a letter saying, all right, if I pay this amount, my debt is free, clear, it's settled, and all that. So and that's what you want to do. Once you call these collection companies, you want to make sure you don't give any information on the phone, like any access to your accounts. You don't want to give them access to your account. You want to make sure you get that a letter verifying, saying that if you pay this off within how many days they tell you to pay it off, this will be on your credit report as settled. All right. And that's what eventually you actually want to get it cleared. But at the time I didn't know that. I could have been like, look, I want this cleared. I want you to say that I paid in full. But at the time I wasn't aware, and I didn't have the information. But I was able. You want to make sure once you make a settlement, the first thing you want to do is you don't want to give your bank account information on there, because if you're making if you come to a negotiation and they say, oh, we're going to take like 8,000, and you give them access to your account, they're going to probably try to go for more. So, and that's the thing, you won't be able to get that money back. So you want to make sure you send tell them to send you a letter saying once you reach a settlement, if you pay this amount, then your account is settled. So they sent me that letter through email. And then obviously when it came time to pay, I sent, I think, probably a cashier's check or a money order check or something like that. Something that didn't have access to my account. So once I did that, I mailed it off to them. And then that account was cleared. Now for the other two credit cards, I did the same thing where I sent a validation letter just to make sure, verified that. And I also called them, and I was able to negotiate it for about, over, I think, I probably on the first one I had 8,000. So 8,000. The two credit cards were from one bank. So total was 810. So it was 18,000. I think at the end of it, I was able to pay total probably like 6,000 or 6,500 in total, maybe less than that. So I was able to sell that for a good amount. So I did the same thing I did with the other credit card, was like, send me a letter saying if I pay this amount off, everything will be cleared. So I did that. They sent me a letter saying pay this. Everything was good. I sent the check. Boom, it was done. So once I did that, once I paid all three of those credit cards, it takes a while for it to update in your credit report. So you usually want to wait either like 30 to 60 days for it to report into the credit bureaus. So once I did that, and then after everything, I waited 30 days after I paid it, I checked my credit report, and then boom, it was cleared, and my credit score jumped up. It went from like a 580 to about 670, 680. So it jumped up tremendously, and ever since then, it's gradually gone up. And now I'm at check my score, it's probably like 730, 740. So, and that's to this date. But so when I paid it off, it was in 2018, December 2018 to January 2019. All right. So once I paid off those collections, my score went up from like 580 to like a 680. So, and in some cases it goes up even more. So that was just my case. There's other people that have paid off collection that's gone up, 1 to 200 points. So it really all depends on your credit history, your credits, your account, like what other accounts that you have, if you have other like loans or debts that you might have. So it really kind of depends. For me, it jumped up about 100 points, and it ever since then I've been cleared debt free, and it really helps. So once you make those payments, it really does help. And the thing is, when you're negotiating with these people, like I said, you don't want to yell at them, you don't want to be angry. You want to make sure you stay calm when you're talking to these people, and just understand that you do have rights. All right. So and that's the thing, you can negotiate with these people. Like, you have rights as a consumer. You can call these credit card companies up and say, hey, this is what I have. What do you want to do? All All right, they're gonna want to take the money as long as it's not too much. Like they're not gonna take 10 cents on a dollar. So, and they'll take anywhere from usually like 40 to 50% discount. So. And that's usually the case. So just know that you have rights. You can talk to these people and you can negotiate it down. And once you make that payment, once you clear it off, wait like 30 to 60 days, and you should see it come off your credit report. For me, it reported as account settled. Or paid less than amount or something like that, which is what I would, if I could go back, I would negotiate it to have it paid in full, but at the time I didn't know. But yeah, it does show those 3 accounts as settled for less than the amount, and it's what it is. But my score has gone up. It's been improving ever since then. I've been debt free and I've been managing my money much better, and managing my credit cards much better. So if you're someone that's struggling and have that same issue and you have collections, and the thing is, make sure and when you're negotiating, don't negotiate payments. You want to make sure you pay that thing off in full if you got the money. All right, do not go with the payments. All right. Pay it off in full. Don't try to come up with a payment plan. Try to gather as much cash as you can and say, all right, boom, this is what I have. I want to pay this off. And then once I pay this off, I want to make sure you report it on my credit reports as paid in full, debt cleared or whatever. And you're done. Okay. So I hope this helped. All right. If you like what you listen to, make sure to hit the like button, share, subscribe. And if you have any questions, make sure to hit the comment. Make sure to comment down below. All right. So take care. Have a good one. Later.